Hey guys, welcome to Marriage Matters. Today is episode 4, and we'll be sharing our love journey. So, we celebrated our third anniversary on the 17th of November, and we thought it best to share our love journey with you. So, I know I've already shared my love journey on the channel, but I just wanted my husband to share his story and that you guys can hear two different perspectives to the story. I'll add a few here and there, but yeah, just see how God orchestrates, you know, love and writes beautiful love stories. So I'm just gonna hand it over to my husband.
Yes, guys, it's such a pleasure to be here, and I trust that even as you watch this, you are all doing well. I'm truly honored to be here and to share what my wife has termed our love story. In 2015, I was at the University of Limpopo doing my final year, and in that time, I think from 2012 until sometime in 2017, if not 2018, even until 2019, I think. Um, I had the privilege of serving from the church platform, particularly from the pulpit. And with that privilege, I got to know a lot of people. And if I'm not exaggerating, I think also known by a lot of people. And so it was always my intention that whoever is under my ministry of the word should actually be the person that I normally talk to. And so on one of those days, it just so happened that the church that I was serving at, that is Every Nation, formerly known as His People, planned a mission trip to the University of Venda because we had a sister church there, also called Univen, His People Univen. So I think it was in August, and it was the end of August actually, and we were going there to have some sort of a missional visit to that church. And so on the day of our departure, I remember we had to wait for our mini bus at the student center. And while we were there, I remember I looked at everybody that was waiting for the transport, and I realized that I knew everybody that was there, and I'd actually talked to everyone that was there except one person. So I committed myself that day that I am going to talk to this particular person, and I will ensure that by the time we get to Venda, we would have talked. So the transport eventually arrived, and we boarded the minibus and traveled. So as we traveled, I think there were several instances where I was trying my best to crack some jokes and to be noticed as much as possible by this one person in the minibus. So whenever I cracked a joke, I would always just peep at her just to see, cast a glance at her just to see if she was smiling or laughing at my jokes. And I think she was gone. Every time I cracked a joke,
Never.
she was finished. And I was
Never.
like, no, I'm funny, man. Welcome to my world. I make people laugh. She didn't laugh at all. Like, and those jokes were powerful, but she didn't laugh.
Not
So
even.
we traveled, and I think each time I was just looking at her, and there was just this sense of fascination about her that actually I was just drawn to her. So we even arrived at a point at a petrol garage, and for people to relieve themselves and to even buy some snacks. And so I looked at her even as she walked into the garage store, just to look at how she interacts with people, and by any chance if I could just read even her body language. And she claims to this day that she saw me looking at her, but I still dispute it. So we eventually got to Venda. When we got to Venda, to cut the long story short, even though I want to give you every single detail of the story, when we arrived there, I think before the minister could teach the word, there was at least a slot where we could um, talk to the persons sitting next to us. And she happened to be sitting next to me at that time. And she asked me questions about me. Who are you? Where do you come from? And some basic questions about family. And when she turned to ask me about me and my family, I played hard to get. So until the preacher started to preach. So after the service, we had some time to kill, I remember. And I looked for her because I wanted us to continue the conversation. But for some reason, she had disappeared from the venue. So I remember walking around asking the people that we traveled with, didn't you see this girl? Because I didn't know her name at the time. I just described her based on a dress code. And she had a scarf, I remember. And I could use only the scarf as a point of reference in an effort to identify her. And fortunately, some lady, whom I might not mention here for the sake of modesty, told me that no, she's actually outside, she's talking to somebody. And so I was like, if she's talking to somebody, she's not worth my time. So as I was walking out, she happened to be walking in. And then she's like, but you didn't answer my questions. I'm like, but there's a noise here in the venue. Let's just go out and sit and talk. And we happened to find a particular spot where we could sit. And to be honest with you, that was the best conversation I ever had in my life. I say so because of the transparency, the authenticity, and even the vulnerability that characterized that moment. I got to know about her, I got to know about her family, I got to know even the things that an average person would not be keen on sharing about. And so when I saw that sense of honesty, I was like, no, this is the person I would like to build with. But at that moment, I did not say anything. And when she also talked to me, I opened up to a level where I thought I would never open up to anybody. So there was just something serene about that moment, and the tranquility about it was so special that I felt like the Lord joined us in that conversation. So as we were talking, the transport happened to arrive to take us to our accommodation. And so that was the last time I actually saw her that evening. So the following day, we had to travel back. So when I went to greet, I picked up some vibes like, no, but this lady is not okay. And I was like, maybe she's just embarrassed to be seen with the pastor from the church. You don't want to be associated with these people as a lady at church. But I just dismissed it. And we traveled. And I remember when we got back to campus, there was some time to join the intercession. And I went there and I found her as part of the intercession. I was like, oh, so she's here. After the church service, I thought maybe we could talk, but she disappeared. And I'm like, okay, could there be something wrong that I did? But I never really got to figure it out. And now, so the struggle that I had was that I did not take her cell number, and God had nothing to do with it. I just don't know why it slipped my mind. So to make matters worse, I think I did not even pronounce her name right. I called her Marina instead of Manari. So when I went to Facebook to search for her, I could not find her. How I spelled her surname also was wrong because I would use an OA instead of a W. So I would still struggle to find her. And she still had gone to her practicals for almost a month, I believe, I think the whole of September, in fact. So I don't know where to find this person. I don't know how to reach out to this person. Until some day, I just tried to write the surname with a W, and then she appeared on the list of possible people that I could be looking for. And that's when I inboxed her and eventually got a number, and then we started talking on the phone. And I think we spoke for quite some nights over the phone before she came back to campus. And I remember sometime when I was sleeping, I actually had a dream of her walking into, there's this basement, those of you who know the University of Limpopo, there's this basement at La Polora where people would go and study, but that one was a basement reserved for the Center for Academic Excellence, where we would assist students with their assignments and so forth in terms of language editing. So I dreamt her walking into that place wearing a green dress that had side pockets. And I went to work that morning, I think at about 7:30. At exactly 11 o'clock, she walked in wearing a green dress with the side pockets. I'm like, look, girl, I'm deep. I don't joke when it comes to the things of God, I'm deep. So, but I didn't tell her that I saw you in my sleep last night. I kept quiet and just walked her out and greeted and checked up on her and left it. Second time, I think about 3 days later, if not 4, I was just sitting at that very same place, and I hear in my spirit, like, just walk to gate 2. Those of you who know the University of Limpopo would remember gate 2. Walk to gate 2 and you'll see her. So I walked, and just when I was walking parallel to the residence called Mushobane, I saw her at my to my right. And I waved at her, and then I checked up on her, how are you doing, and so forth. And then I had to go back. Like, look, man, she still does not know who she's dealing with here. I'm deep. So time went by. I think the last time was when I knew that I would actually see her, was when I was with a friend, a brother from church, and I was like, man, let's just go to Sovenga Hill. Again, if you're from the University of Limpopo, you would know Sovenga Hill. So as we approached a place called DSU, now RDC, I'm like, no, I feel like she's up there and we are going to meet her. And this guy's like, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? And I'm like, beautiful spirit, because that's how I described her to my friends when we returned from Venda. It's like, no, you're fooling around. But when we ascended the hill, there she was descending from the mountain. And I'm like, yeah, she still does not know what she's dealing with. And so we went there and we prayed. And then the last time when such a divine moment occurred was when I was talking to some sister from church. We were next, just not far from the pond, the university pond. And I was facing the opposite direction. She walked past behind me. And so I just felt an urge to look behind me. When I looked behind me, there she was walking, fading into the distance. So I ran after her and found her sitting on the rock. And I'm like, yeah, man, I finally found you, because you have always been disappearing from me. And so we walked and we talked. I remember it was a Tuesday. It was a fasting and prayer at church, and I knew that I would see her later in the evening. But then again, in that evening, she disappeared again before my friends could see her. So all of these moments led to a series of conversations, even walks in the evening on campus, where I would get to know her more and inquire more about her life, her values, her principles, her vision in life, until the 11th of November when I asked her out. And so those moments that I've just shared now, which I regard as divine and God-inspired, led to a series of walks in the evenings until the 11th of November of 2015, where I declared my love to her and she agreed to my proposal. And I remember even as we walked in that season, there was a promise that, in 2018 we're getting married. And the Lord was faithful enough to enable us to strike a covenant together. And to this day, we are still together 3 years into this covenant, and it's such a delight and blessing to do life with her.
Oh, babe.
So in short, that is my side of the story. The Lord did come through for me in this regard, and I can never stop giving my gratitude to him for that. So yes, that's my aspect of the story. So tell them how I made it difficult for you
To say no.
to resist to resist the work of God in your life.
I think what I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna probably share the link in the description box where I share my part,
Okay.
and then but I will say that
You don't want to go through, those experiences when you felt like the Lord was not hearing you.
when if you watch the video, you'll understand what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I actually already shared that part, but God writes beautiful love stories, and I think our love story is beautiful. And when he said about, I don't know if I mentioned this in the other video, but there was a time where I was that Tuesday, fasting and prayer. I was at Sovenga Hill and I got off, and I remember I could hear the Holy Spirit say, "Turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right." In my deep days, and then I remember hearing him say, "Sit down," and I sat down on the rock he was talking about, and I heard the Holy Spirit say, "Look back."
Look.
And I looked back. When I saw him, I was like, but God, this is another confirmation on top of the many other confirmations that this is my husband. And I remember I was so grateful. Like even when he walked me to my room, I don't even remember what we were talking about. I think there was just a flow of gratitude in my heart towards God, saying thank you, Holy Spirit, because if had I not listened to you, I would have missed this opportunity. And so I remember he was busy, like when we got to my rest, because I stayed at MBL. He accompanied me till MBL, but we saw some girls also, I think, from church. And then he stopped and he talked to them. I'm like, this guy.
As greeting, like, how are you, brethren?
He was taking so much time. Like, no, I'm not gonna wait here.
And then she
'Cause,
disappears without saying bye.
He left me.
When she knows.
He left me. You left me and you went to there.
No,
We
I
were walking.
was greeting the flock, and I was greeting the flock, and then you disappeared without saying, you know what, I'm leaving. I'm like,
Because you left me, like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, what? This is awkward. How do I? You know what? Let me just go to my rest and like this uncommunicated whatever is happening is
and
not
yet
for
you
me.
knew.
what? And so I went to my room and we later went to prayer. But I remember just getting to my room and just being so thankful. Lord, like, thank you. So I really just don't want to repeat the love story because I believe a lot of us have heard it. And that's why I'm just going to link it there by the description box for you guys to just go watch it. But this guy is my favorite guy. And he's the second best decision in my life. I thank God for him. I thank God for his leadership. I thank God for his love. And it's so easy for me to submit to you. In fact, for so long, I struggled with what submission is and what submission was portrayed to be. And I thank God that I don't think I struggle. I mean, only you can attest whether or not I submit. But getting married to you has made it so much easy for me to submit to you and to honor you and to respect you. It's so easy to respect. It's so easy to honor you. And thank you for that. Thank you for 3 amazing years of love and marriage and companionship and friendship. And I can't wait to see, where the next 3 years take us and many other years to come, And yeah, thank you so much, babe. I really appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure. It has really, really, really been a unique pleasure to be married to you. A lot of the best has happened in my life because of your presence in my life. A lot of transformation has happened because of your being here. A lot of insight into the Father's heart and, to build with intention, to learn the value of authentic relationships, vulnerability, accountability, transparency, and just some sense of, a partner in destiny. And I think for that, I would always be grateful because it goes beyond, just I feel love for you to. It's such a delight to wake up and joyfully choose you as my spouse.
Oh, babe.
And I look forward to coming home. I look forward to being with you. I don't spend time with a lot of people. In fact, I think this is the person I spend all of my time with. If I'm not with her, I'm at work alone, and then I just come back home. So this is my best friend, and we are by God's grace building together, and I think we'll continue to build together until the Lord is like, it's enough, come home. So it's such a pleasure to be with you, and I trust the Lord that we'll continue to serve him together and to glorify him together. I might as well just close with saying, guys, other people's stories will be unique.
Yes.
And this is by no means a standard to anyone, but this is our story, and this is what we thank God for
Yeah.
concerning us. So this is my wife, and this is the woman that I appreciate and love so much. Yes,
At the end of the day, marriage does matter.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Till next time. Goodbye.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day or your evening, depending on what time you watch this. Thank you.